Hey everyone, welcome back to the Road to 2000 series. This is episode 4. I'm sitting at 1835 and let's find a game. Oh, we find one very quickly. Okay, he plays e4. I'm going to play my c6 Caro-Kann. One thing I'd like to try and do in this game is play a bit quicker. I feel like I've been getting in a lot of time trouble recently, so let's try play a bit quicker. c6 d5 is the Caro-Kann. Let's see what my opponent does. Bishop d3. I don't think I've seen that before. I've seen when they try and defend the pawn with a knight. I think I'm just going to take, and if he takes back, I'll just play knight f6. Interesting though. Okay, so I think I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to take this bishop. I'm sure he'll take with the knight. Then we play bishop f5. And that sort of transposes into the other position. This is sort of the main line Caro-Kann, except we've traded off our knight for his bishop. So I think that's an improvement. Bishop f3. I'm going to play knight d7. And this is kind of like the mainline Caro-Kann, I think, except the knight has been traded for that bishop, which I think is an improvement. So let me play e6. If bishop g5, we can block, I suppose, or move the queen. Rook e1 makes sense. So, yeah, in the spirit of not taking too long, so if I play bishop d6, there's knight in here. We can go takes. I think that's fine, then I can move the bishop again. Yeah. Again, I am trying to play a bit quicker than in the past. I like how we've got good control here. Yeah, I think last game, or maybe the game before, I played c5 a bit too quickly. Better probably to put a rook behind it, castle, and then c5. Yeah. Okay, bishop g5. I mean, I'm thinking just queen b6, which is a common move in the Caro-Kann. Yeah, f6 would be a big blunder, I think. Check. So let me just develop the queen. With queen b6, hits this pawn, puts pressure there. Yeah. What does he want to play? Bishop e3, no. Not sure what his idea is. Just just really want to watch out for sort of 1 or 2 move blunders. You know, I feel like that decides a lot of these sort of games. But yeah, I think, look, castle, rook c8, that looks pretty good. Okay, that makes sense. Create some weaknesses though. So bishop, obviously I can just castle. Bishop b4 hits the rook. If the rook moves, yeah, let me just castle. Try keep up a bit of time on the clock. C5. Okay, it's threatening. C4 is threatening C5. So where do I want to put this bishop? Maybe I shouldn't have allowed that because I want to play c5 myself. There's bishop b5, bishop b4 to hit the rook. Does that do anything though? Let's say rook here. Bishop b5. Yeah, let me start with bishop b4 to hit the rook. Try to keep time up on the clock. I like this bishop, and I feel like if he doesn't play this, there might be an opportunity to trap this rook. But this looks like a very natural move. Yeah, so rook, let's say rook e3. I wonder if we've got c5 there. Rook e2, does that not trap this rook? No, because after there... Okay. Kind of want to kick this bishop out because I want to put a rook to d8. So what about c5? Maybe it's too early. There might be c4. Yeah. Let me start with h6. Then bishop here, we can just move our queen back. Yeah, let me start with h6. Just want to try and make practical moves quite quickly that, you know, don't lose on the spot. I want to put a rook to d8 and c8. I mean, the bishop can always stay on this diagonal, but that looks a little cramped. Bishop e3 looks natural, but maybe we can bring the queen back to take control of this diagonal. I suppose there's bishop d2. Bishop, yeah, that looks natural. Okay. So I don't like this, so let me play queen c7. If knight there, we can take, and now I'm bringing my rook to d8. c5 weakens d5 a lot, so we can bring the knight there. Yeah. Just want to make sure I'm not getting my bishop trapped, though. Yeah, I think I'm okay. Yeah, I think I want to play c5, I think. So my bishop, yeah. If he plays c5, do we have time for rook d8, a3, a5, b4 does trap the bishop, doesn't it? c5, if we play bishop there, he goes there. Yeah, we got to be careful. Okay, he does go for this trade. Tough decision here. I might keep the bishops. I might keep this bishop. Yeah, let me keep the bishop on the board. I could have taken, I didn't like how it helped him control this file. And I've got the bishop pair, and I think this is my good bishop, if anything. Because I've got these pawns on light squares, so yeah, I'd like to keep that bishop if possible. I really want to bring a rook to d8 and probably a rook to c8 and then play c5. Not sure why, but that just seems what is natural in this position. If he ever plays c5, it weakens d4 pawn, and it weakens the d5 square, so we can try get a knight there. Yeah. And I just always want to be watching out for some tactics here. I feel like some of these tactics are probably something I need to improve on. So yeah, it sounds obvious, tactics and blunders lose games, but they really do. Certainly in the 1800s, there's often games are decided by blunders. Okay. Bishop c3. So d5's not possible. The problem with c5 is maybe d5's good there. So let me bring a rook to d8. So I do notice that this rook aligns with this bishop if d5 takes, but we can't play it yet because the bishop would hang. So let me play rook d8. c5 again, I'm not scared of. I'm putting my knight on d5. d5, I don't think it works right now. Takes would lose the bishop, but I think, yeah, rook c1 would be a good move. And then we might have to be more concerned about d5. So let's say rook c1, knight f6. d5, takes, takes, knight takes. That looks good. Yeah, I think. Rook c1, knight f6, d5, takes, 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 and the queen defends the bishop. So I think we got that covered. Yeah, rook c1. There's also bishop a3. But then I think they just play bishop b2. We can trade there, but that, yeah. Don't think we want to do that. I really like this bishop. Yeah, I think we've got a good position. I mean, white's got a bit of space here, but I don't know. This pawn could become a weakness long term. This bishop's really good, and the light squared bishop in the Caro-Kann can be a problem. It can be a problem activating it, so it's good that we've got a nice active light squared bishop. Just noticed my opponent's connection is a bit... No, it's okay. Yeah. So in the Caro-Kann, if we go back to the start, you're putting your pawns on light squares. Sometimes they can play e5. Okay, they've made a move here. And it can be difficult to get your light squared bishop out sometimes. So, or in the line that I play with c5, sometimes your light squared bishop gets stuck. Okay, knight e4. So does that generate a threat? Not really. I don't want to take it. Now I'm considering c5. But I think d5 is... Ooh, so c5, if he pushes d5 and we take... if he takes back with this pawn, I think we can take, and take. Does that work? So c5, I think if he takes, that's great for us because we can take with the knight and hit his queen. But c5 is their d5. The only problem is, I think if I take the pawn and he takes back, I don't think that is good for him. But c5 and he pushes d5 and I take. What happens if he takes with a queen? No, that doesn't look good though. Is there knight c5 in that line too? Because that would hit his queen. c5. Wait, sorry, I miscalculated in that other line. c5, d5 takes our pawns here, so our queen doesn't connect with the bishop. So that doesn't work. c5, d5. Takes. It still could be good. I'm not sure actually. Maybe this knight... No, it can't be coming there. Maybe we just try and trade off this knight that's become strong. Like knight f6. What's he going to play? Could he move back? can also ignore it, play something like rook c8. D5 still not a threat, is it? D5 is actually... D5 takes. Take with the queen. I'm going to play knight f6. Might not be the best move, but again, I want to just focus on moves that are practical, are good enough. Play them decently quickly. If we trade, that doesn't look terrible to me. I like how my queen's aligning with his bishop. I want to get this rook here, or even double up on the d file. This knight, I didn't know what it was doing or where it was going, so maybe it's not the worst knight to trade off. Yeah, that's my thinking. Does it blunder anything? I don't think so. For some reason, I'm fixated on c5, but maybe it's not a good move. Or maybe... Okay, he takes. I guess we just take with the bishop. Maybe he's got knight e5. We might have a tactic there. Let me take with the bishop. Not think too long there. Knight e5 takes. If he takes with a pawn, he loses his queen. Knight e5. If he takes with a rook, can we take that? Takes the queen. Okay. So knight e5 is definitely the threat. We've got bishop d3, but doesn't do anything. We've got bishop h5 to pin the knight. But the other idea is c5, right? If c5 and knight e5... c5, knight e5. Maybe we want to start with knight h5 just to pin the knight. Prevents knight e5, which is a strong square. But I do want to put pressure on this bishop because I notice that it's not defended. So c5, knight e5 is my concern. If I take, he can take my bishop. But then I take his bishop. That doesn't look too bad. c5, knight e5. We can take. c5, knight e5. We can also move the bishop back. But then he's got a chance to defend it. But then we can still win this pawn. Maybe c5 now is not too bad. Take the bishop. There's also just bishop h5 first. Bishop h5, he just goes there though. Let me play c5. I've been building up to this move. Let's see, hopefully I'm not blundering anything. But anyway, I want him to think on his time. I guess maybe he can just play like rook. Rook d1 maybe? Yeah, I don't know. We might be... If rook d1, we can always play this now. though. We can always play bishop h5. Yeah, I think bishop h5. And we're threatening to actually just take it and win a pawn. Yeah. Let me play bishop h5. This is still not defended, so he can't take. Ah, it is defended. What am I talking about? I missed that completely. No, but we'd have a tactic there. Take the rook first. Take and take. Or yeah, we take and then take. I think. So I missed that completely, that the bishop is defended. But we've got a tactic. Wait, did I just miss that in the last variation? Yeah, when he moved his queen there, I just missed that the bishop is defended. But anyway, I think this pin is going to build a bit of pressure. We are threatening to take it, I think. Take it and then take. So let's say knight, yeah, moves his knight, we take the rook. We might have something better than to just take the knight and win a pawn, but... Okay, d5. So can I start with taking this knight? He takes our rook. We take his rook. Interesting. I'm missing too many things, I think. It's a good move, I think. So we take the knight. He takes our bishop. We take his rook. He takes our rook. We take his bishop. He takes our bishop. We take his pawn. He takes our pawn. So that's just an even trade. Takes. Damn. Takes the rook. Takes our rook. We bring our rook in. If I take here, he takes there. Doesn't work. There's not like bishop g5. No. I just missed that this bishop was defended. Okay, let me go into that variation. I think it's just an even exchange of everything. Might have had something better. So takes, bishop takes. Takes the rook. Yeah. No, it's a good play. Bishop takes rook. Or takes. Yeah, nah. We're taking the rook. He's going to take our rook. We'll bring in our other rook. We can't do any more intermezzos because our queen's under attack. So I think rook takes, just to activate this piece. He's going to take our bishop. And then, what do we want to do here? Is there queen d7 or queen d6? Or do we just take? If he takes with the rook. Super tough position now. Let me not spend too much time. So queen d6. What's the advantage of that? It's saying that he can't take, but he was. Let me take. If he takes with a rook, yeah. This is going to be a pretty dead even endgame, but I, for some reason, don't think it's going to end in a draw. Queen activity is going to be important. Capitalizing on blunders. Is there any good reason not to trade? No, don't want to overthink it. Okay, now I don't want to give him any checks. But check actually, does check matter that much? I can also play king f8. Quite like that move. This is going to be a mess. Queen d6. Got to try and back my instincts here. Queen f6 might be a good square to get onto. Want to centralize my queen. He's going to play queen d3. Maybe we just defend the pawn. Yep, that's a good move. Threatening to come in here. Yeah, I don't want to let him in there. g6. g6 just looks a bit weakening though. There's also queen f6 if he comes in here, that we're not scared of this check anymore. Maybe queen f6. Tough position now. g6 or queen f6. We're threatening a check, but that... His queen is looking more active than ours. Okay, but let me not panic here. There's also g6, there's queen e7. This pawn, if we could get the queens off the board, I feel like this pawn I'm going to get to first. So a queen trade I think suits me while his king's back here. Okay, that's... yeah, that improves his king's position. g6 to play queen... or should we just play queen e7 first? No, then he comes in. g6 first. If he goes after this pawn, no. Yeah, this is a tough game. His queen is really cutting off my king here. Queen e7. He's not going to take, but if he took, that would be nice. Queen e7. Maybe if he retreats, we can look to play f5 and then trade queens, but that's not as good with our pawn just on e4. Yeah, this pawn is strong with the queens on the board, and he's sacrificing a pawn to win this pawn. If I play b6, he's coming here anyway. b6, b6. He's got check. There, wins, moves there. So b6, queen a8. Check there, wins this pawn. Then we take... No, he doesn't win this pawn, he just plays d7. I think I got to take this pawn. This looks dangerous though. Maybe queen e7 now. Takes. That was a good move, I think. d6. Helped split up these pawns. Takes. Okay. King e4. We've got a check. Can just play there. Goes back, okay. d5 looks good. To get opposition here. And then I want to play a5. I mean, maybe this is just a dead draw, but this opposition looks quite good for me. Let's see if I can do anything. I'm not sure. So if he plays like... Okay, he plays f4. Do I have any hope here? I want to play a5. Let me play a5. Yeah, it's going to come down to a tempo, I think. So let's say a4. Then I play a6. Then he plays a5. Then it's his move. No, sorry, then it's my move and I've got to move backwards. He can come in. Oh, he played h3. G5 or H5? H5. No, I think I'm in trouble here. Is there a way for me to get it so that it's his move? Maybe A5 was wrong. G5 takes. He's going to create a passer. But H5, he can play H4, and then what do I do? I think I have to play G5. But he's going to create... Yeah, I might be losing here. I didn't like G5, but I think if H5, he could play H4. Then I don't have a move. I have to move my king. I mean, maybe that's not losing. I don't know. I think he should take, maybe. And play h4. But I don't know. I mean, I've got a passer there as well. H4 takes or push. Not sure. Think I'm losing. I have to play h5 and then he can play. He can play a4 and then I have to go back. He goes there. Maybe king d6 rather than king c6. So if he plays a4 or even a3, king d6, king c4, I've got king c6. Maybe king d6 holds. Yeah. So what about king d6? If he wants to move his king forward. If he plays a4, I've got king d5. Yeah, I mean, then he's got king e3 anyway. So a4, yeah, so now I can gain opposition. But then he's got an extra tempo. a4. Wow, I think I've lost here. Because there he's got there. King d6. Yeah, I have to move my king somewhere. Well played. King b5. I'm going to lose this race. That was really well played by my opponent. I mean, I think I'm losing. King takes there. Yeah, wow, that was good play. Must have done something wrong there. I think he just has to play king b5. And then if I take this pawn, he can run his king. He can run his a pawn. King e3, a6. Yeah, no, yeah, this is over. That was a fascinating endgame. I'll have to look at that. I think I'm going to resign. He can also just take this pawn. Take. That was a tough game. I wonder where I went wrong in this endgame. Maybe a4, a5. Or maybe it was just losing, I don't know. I think I'm going to resign though. That was a good game. I'll have a quick look at the review, although it would be a good one to think about too. Yeah, high quality game. He was 93.5 and I was 89.8. My big mistake here. So this is still a draw. So what do I have to play? King c6. That was my whole dilemma. King d6 or king c6. So I think I had in my head that if he played a4, I had to play king d6, because if he comes into c4, I can play king c6. But if he plays a3, I have to get this tempo. I have to triangulate. Such a fascinating endgame. So if a4, my idea of king d6 was correct, because if he comes forward, I get opposition here. But if he plays a3, which is what he played, I have to play king c6 now. But hang on, what happens if he comes forward here? This is apparently still a draw. But I don't see why, because if I go here, he comes in. If I go here, he comes in. Surely it's not a4. No. So what's the correct move here? This is apparently a draw. And if he takes, do I have, maybe I've got it one extra tempo. Wow, what an interesting endgame. That is pretty interesting. I'll have to, this is probably one that you have to study, this sort of endgame. Really interesting. Well, that is a good way to, even though I lost, that's a very good instructional moment. And I think I will leave it there for today's episode. Yeah, thanks for watching, and I will see you all next time.